Bang! What is up, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Tuesday, October 26th, and we've had some pretty interesting price action over the last 24 hours. From Doc's name, you can see everyone's favorite new meme coin is ripping again. It's been a pretty crazy couple of weeks here for Shiba Inu. We'll talk about that a little bit, but also plenty to talk about in terms of Bitcoin price action, also some other alts ripping as well. CJ and I highlighted some technical formations yesterday that are still looking pretty interesting today, so I'd like to elaborate on that a bit. But before we dive into things, Doc, Shiba, CJ, how are you guys doing this morning?
I'm still scratching my head over this Shiba. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of these altcoins do this kind of stuff, and we've all kind of been there for Doge and so forth. But this one, I just shake my head. But for all of you who are brave enough to jump in on Shiba, which I have not done, sadly, congratulations. I hope it's a great ride for you. I'm doubtful that it will keep going, but you know, I was doubtful at half the price, and now look at where it is, guys.
Yeah, John, that's the thing about these meme coins is they kind of defy all conventional logic here. I think one thing we can take away from this beyond, just scratching our heads is it does kind of give us some insight into where we're at in this market cycle. Because if we look back last year, we saw a very similar thing happen with Doge right as we kind of entered the end of the year here. I think it has a lot to do with confidence being brought on, Bitcoin making a new all-time high, kind of brings back on that risk attitude that we've been talking about for the longest time. So, I think we're getting to that exciting point in the market cycle where we start to see price action that doesn't necessarily make sense. But, hey, I'm not going to complain when, you wake up and you see Shiba Inu up another 40% day after day. So continuing to rip. But CJ, how about Bitcoin? Interesting day yesterday. We had some positive news pieces hit the market. Late in the day, we had some news that China may be reversing their mining ban. Don't know what to make of that. I mean, I guess that will allow them to ban it again next year. So they can keep banning it every single year. But, Bitcoin had a very positive start to the week yesterday, although it's coming back a little bit now. Any thoughts on what we're seeing technically here, CJ, as we continue the week here?
Yeah, there are some interesting similarities we can take a look at, or we will take a look at in a moment. As for SHIB, the parallels are kind of uncanny and how similar that we saw that pump in Doge. There were two pumps in Doge. There was one when Bitcoin made a new all-time high at roughly 20K, kind of consolidated. Then the second leg up was really with Elon, the Saturday Night Live, and tons of speculative mania around the space in general. To that extent, will SHIB pump like Doge did? I don't think it will as much as Doge did, because I don't think Elon's going to come out and pump it. I don't know. Maybe he will. Can't really predict that. Nonetheless, I do think SHIB will continue to get another speculative pump straight from retail capital later on in the market cycle. So maybe even if we do correct from some of these, current fib levels, you could see, a retail flyer end of market cycle, kind of early spring, but that remains to be seen. And that is kind of a very interesting aspect of the market cycle that we'll have to pay attention to. But overall, back to Bitcoin, we discussed how we were finding a little bit of support yesterday. Nonetheless, this trade does feel a little bit crowded. The trend was structurally hurt when we had these bearish engulfing candles a few days ago. Due to the fact that we have been able to recover, I'm still about 50-50 bearish to bullish in where Bitcoin will go. If we look at some of these lower levels, really 55 is what comes to mind. And most notably, not saying we're going to go there, but I'm just saying that is the ultimate downside risk if we see some type of liquidation. And, having that bullish engulfing candle at the bottom of a downtrend is a very bullish sign for Bitcoin. We discussed that yesterday. Nonetheless, we are starting to see a little bit of bearish momentum in the MACD crossover. And typically when we have these crossovers, whether bullish or bearish, we will consolidate for a little bit, maybe even continue going up, but then ultimately come down and correct below the current level. So we might get another chance to buy Bitcoin below the $60,000 level here. I'm kind of the opinion that we will as of now, just because I feel this trade is getting a little crowded, especially with what we're seeing in assets like SHIB. Bitcoin dominance has also really dropped off a cliff on the daily chart these past few days. But that's really all I have to say in terms of Bitcoin. I guess the last thing I'll finish with is the weekly chart, because we did see not the most favorable candle last week. We did have, a spinning top or a doji at the top of an uptrend. Doesn't mean that the trend has to pause or anything of that sort, but it just means that we're seeing indecision from a macro perspective there. But I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts as well, and where you see Bitcoin in the current market cycle, how speculative retail capital is currently playing in. Where are we?
Well, just from my standpoint, CJ, it does sort of feel like it's running out of some momentum, and yet it continues to get good news. Bitcoin itself, that is. I mean, gosh, I think it was yesterday, MasterCard was saying that they're going to, what was this? I saved it. Any bank or merchant on its network can soon offer crypto services. That's pretty big news. I mean, again, the more you expand the pie, the more people we bring in, the better the chance that, there's a bigger base that maybe not for FOMO, but maybe buying on dips and all that kind of stuff. That's always what I think the three of us would preach, is we're not giving investment advice on how people should manage their money, but we're saying, I think all three of us, that we would much rather be buyers on dips than chasers into 67,000 and things like that. Every once in a while, buying high and buying higher works until it doesn't. And I know one of the guys on our show is famous for his book, Buy High, Sell Higher, I think is Joe Terranova's book. And that's, of course, a great strategy as long as it goes higher from where you bought. I think we kind of move the odds into our favors, guys, by being a little more patient and taking advantage of liquidations and or people just, either whether you want to call it weak hands or tired hands or whatever, paper hands. All of those kind of things might give us a better opportunity to get in. And when those opportunities present themselves, I think all three of us would rather be lined up in there. I will say, however, that just a shameless plug for the crypto fund that you guys advise, the Market Rebellion Capital Partners Crypto Fund, it's up 42% so far this month. I mean, last week I thought it was tremendous it was tremendous when it was up 25%. And now it's up 42%. And that's not on a runaway straight up market. I mean, we've backed and filled a little here. And to your point right at the top, Monty, I mean, yeah, we got up to 67, pulled all the way back down to 61 and kind of bounced back up to 64 and, slipped back beneath that. I mean, that backing and filling still works. And the fact that we're trading derivatives on these coins also works. And a lot of folks are just not as good about picking their spots, and or they don't understand the strategies and or derivatives that well. So I think that gives us a leg up on the competition. And certainly your guys' advice has been spot on for that fund.
Yeah, thanks, John.
If you'd like to learn more about it, you can go to the website that you do see behind me, rebellioncapitalcrypto.com. Nathaniel Orr Deppner is our chief operations officer. So if you're interested in the fund, he can get you all the information that you need. But thank you for that, Jon. Monty, what's your outlook on the markets right now?
Yeah, I agree with Jon. I think when it comes to Bitcoin, right now is a time to be a little bit patient. And what I will say though is, although you should be being a little bit patient with Bitcoin, kind of letting what we're seeing play out, I think that now is actually a decent time to be sprinkling some money into some various altcoins. And I think a good reason, or a good, justification for that is taking a look at what we're seeing from Bitcoin dominance. So I've been talking a lot about Bitcoin dominance over the last couple of weeks here because I think it's going to be a very, driving force in this market. And I think it's going to be one of the things we can look to kind of time this market and just tell where the capital is flowing. So as you can see here, over the last week or so, we've had a nice decline in Bitcoin dominance from this high of about 48% back down to this low of about 44%. This is a critical level here for Bitcoin dominance, 44%. As you can see, we retested it again over here. And it wasn't until we broke this level about here in August that we saw that rotation of capital into the altcoins that brought Solana to new all-time highs, AVAX, HBAR, a bunch of other assets really saw tremendous speculation during this period of time right here as capital was rotating out of Bitcoin and into the altcoins. And now that we've seen, this period of time here, about a month of Bitcoin dominance reclaiming ground, typically that is a sign that confidence is coming back into the market. Institutional players and whales are the ones speculating in this market because they don't necessarily look downstream into the alts. They tend to stay with mostly Bitcoin and some Ethereum. So whenever you have them, heavily investing in the market, it tends to drive Bitcoin dominance up. Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high. That brings on confidence that retail investors like to see and brings on that risk-on attitude that we've been, kind of waiting for here. So over this period of time in the last week, obviously we've seen lots of alts perform tremendously well. And I think watching Bitcoin dominance here as it approaches this critical level of 44% can kind of give us some good insight as to where the market's headed. If we get a bounce from this level, then perhaps that tells us that Bitcoin is going to regain some ground before we start to see some rotation of capital back into the alts. But if we break below this level, then perhaps Bitcoin continues to consolidate in this range of 55 to 60K while the alts rip up and regain some of this overall market cap in crypto. So we're at a really interesting point in time here, right in line with what we're expecting for Q4. And I think overall, now is a time to be patient in Bitcoin, but it's actually okay to be looking into some of these altcoins. And that's based on what we're seeing here in Bitcoin dominance. So, like I've been talking with some of our doges of the day, I've been sprinkling some money around into some various altcoin positions, looking to, increase my altcoin positions relative to my Bitcoin position as we enter Q4 here. So yeah, that's what I got, but I will pass it back to you, gentlemen.
I'd just throw out, Monty, that we've got, that situation I just mentioned about MasterCard. That was obviously really good for Backed, BKKT. It's a publicly traded company, folks. Let me see how big it is. I forgot. BKKT. It is $1.5 billion. We had some huge volume in that one on the unusual option activity side when it was, $11 a couple days ago. Yeah, that's right. A couple days ago, it hit 46 in the pre-market today, I believe. It opened today at 36, which was from a close yesterday of 30.60 or whatever. I mean, obviously, the more you get a big network like MasterCard moving over to adoption of crypto, the better it is for some of the support systems. Backed is one of those. For those of you who have been in HUT or any of the miners, kind of pay attention. Right now, I'm shifted back to stocks from crypto. Not that I've left crypto, but I'm just saying some of these stocks like HUT, HUT, HUT 8, and a host of others made outstanding moves in the last 3 days. Make sure that you're nimble and take some of that profit, and or lock it up if you're somebody who wants to hold it for a long time. Buy a put spread or whatever, because generally speaking, when those cryptos make a big move, you'll see a lot of these others like Coinbase, like Hut, like Voyager or whatever make moves either on the tail of that or right with it. And then when you see sort of a, I won't say sell off, but sort of a consolidation, let's say, a lot of those stocks that have made outsized moves are subject to a little selling pressure on the stock side, where people tend to short more than they do on the crypto side. That's all I'm saying. Just be nimble in those names.
Yeah, I saw some incredible action in Backed yesterday, halted several times. It was pretty exciting to watch. I know a lot of people in our room are trading it, so that was very cool to see. But as we wrap up the show here, any doges of the day that you gentlemen will be looking at as we head into the week here?
Yeah, I definitely got some. Kind of just want to do a little short technical analysis on a few altcoins as well. But John, you can go first if you'd like.
Really, I don't. I'm, like I say, I'm more or less trying to lock up, CJ and Monty, stocks like Hut and like Coinbase that I've traded recently, both because of the exposure to crypto and because they've had unusual activity. Backed, I include in that group. So I've more or less just been trying to lock in those gains by buying put spreads, selling at the money calls, not even out of the money, at the money, because I want as much protection as possible, because some of these moves have been outstanding. And while they could continue, and I think they will get back to work again, that's why I'm not liquidating those positions. I don't want to overstay my welcome too much. So I want to lock in some of those gains. So that's what I've been doing, CJ.
Very nice. Very nice. I see we have a question regarding ETH and whether or not Ethereum is still strong. Something on the ETH chart that one of our community members had pointed out, and I apologize if I forget who it was. I believe it was Michael Lindell who had this 4-hour trend channel kind of highlighted on Ethereum, and the way that we've held these higher highs and higher lows throughout the past couple days. And, we have had this double bottom in the W pattern, pretty, decently bullish pattern overall. But until we really break this channel to the downside, I'm still looking for short-term upside potential in ETH and a couple other assets as well. And the ones that I want to get to kind of fall under that characteristic that we like to talk about a lot. First of all, let me just highlight Phantom. And, I think it's probably an optimal point to take some profit. I know this was a doge of the day from a couple days ago or perhaps yesterday. But, after really hitting this 350 level, we had a TD sequential sell 9 as well. So that one has had a remarkable run. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of profit taking or a little bit of consolidation, kind of as similar to this period in September or this period in October, before another potential push higher. The three that I really like are AVAX. I really like that, we're seeing some breakout continuation. We're seeing a breakout of that downward sloping trend line. Also, Atom is performing tremendously today and is one of the most bullish altcoins in terms of a technical formation, because we're really breaking that downward sloping trend line, and that bullish engulfing at the bottom or near the bottom of a downtrend is typically very characteristic of bullish continuation. So Atom really caught my eye this morning. I think that one is very likely postured for new all-time highs if Bitcoin can continue to remain at least neutral here. And then finally, I'll just highlight GRT, or the graph. That is one that has had really nice spikes in volume over the past week and continues to trend higher and has recently broken out and gotten above some resistance levels. So overall, I think those three are tremendously strong and what I'm really looking at throughout the day. But just wanted to share those. Monty, anything?
Yeah, awesome stuff, CJ. I really like those picks. Going back to what I was talking about with Bitcoin dominance, those assets that you just mentioned, all of those were ones that ran very hard when Bitcoin dominance was falling, when ETH gas fees were skyrocketing, when the network was becoming very congested. We're seeing similar things in terms of Bitcoin dominance profile. So I like that those assets are showing some moves, and I like that you picked them as your Doge of the day today. And I'm going to end it up with one more that I think actually kind of fits the criteria well, like what CJ was just talking about there. A lot of those are um, chains with high throughput. Like I said, they benefited from when Ethereum was congested. And another one that CJ didn't mention just there, but that I mentioned yesterday, is HBAR, Hedera Hash Graph. And there's a couple reasons why I like this one. First and foremost, this is a very nice wedge formation we have kind of forming here. And as you can see, this sort of bottom side of the triangle here is continuing to climb up. And I think we're establishing a very clear breakout level here. As you can see, each time we've kind of come down and retested this bottom side, we've run up to retest about the 40-cent level. That's about where we've seen profit taking. It coincides with the top side of this triangle here. And I think a breakout above this level is looking imminent. And I'm going to be looking to be buying HBAR with a candle body close above 40 cents, or just out of this wedge, which coincides with that 40-cent level, because I do think that based on what we're seeing with Atom, based on what we're seeing with AVAX, and based on what we're seeing with Bitcoin dominance in general, assets like HBAR with high throughput, strong transactions per second capability, will definitely benefit from retail speculation. And yeah, that's why I really like HBAR at this current point in time. So I picked it yesterday as my Doge of the day, and I still very much like it today, actually, even a little bit more so, especially when you consider what we're seeing this morning, and showing a little bit of strength here as it retests this upper level, while Bitcoin, on the other hand, is kind of turning down a little bit, not showing any strength. So I think one of the themes here is that there are plenty of altcoins to be taking a look at this week. Even if Bitcoin does not continue to rip, I think based on what we're seeing with Bitcoin dominance, based on what we're seeing with ETH as well, there's a potential for the altcoins to really be the stars this week. So as always, CJ and I will be hanging out in the room watching those altcoins. If you got any questions for us, we'd love to chat with you. So you can head over there and try that out at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. You can try your first week for just $7. It's a 24/7 community. We've got traders from all around the world that share their insights in the chat, pro charting service, actionable trade insights, extensive education curriculum, sentiment data, and a whole lot more. So head over there and check it out. Like I said, CJ and I would love to chat with you. And of course, thank you very much to the sponsor of this show, Invest Voyager. If you're looking for a place to trade your crypto, we recommend you head over to investvoyager.com, where you can trade 60 plus assets, get up to 12% interest on assets like DOT, and 10% on stable coins like USDC. And if you head over there, use code REBEL25 when you sign up for $25 free in crypto. But that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Any parting words for our audience, CJ and Doc?
I'd say watch for volatility. It's been really under control lately, very low in the S&P 500 world. We've seen how crypto kind of is influenced somewhat, at least in terms of if there is a sell-off, crypto tends to sell off with it, at least at first, and then becomes the safe harbor that many of us hoped it would be. But keep an eye on volatility. If volatility starts moving up quickly, I don't anticipate that until at least Apple's earnings 2 days from now. But keep an eye, put that on your calendar, that if Apple is having supply chain issues, that could be something that causes the market to hiccup a little, and that would hit cryptos too.
Yeah, just going to watch for leverage and discuss a couple ways that we can watch for potential open interest building in leverage positions. And so we'll discuss that a little bit in the community room after the show. But if you'd like to join that or learn more, that's marketrebellion.com/try crypto. But thank you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world.
Thank you.